Bill. How are you?
I'm well, Patrick. How are you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Thank you for joining me here tonight with this little project of mine.
Pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Sure, sure. And welcome to anybody watching this after the fact. We're starting a new project here related to Combat Commander for Patrick's tactics and tutorials. One of the things I've noticed is when I put content out related to Combat Commander, that seems to be very well received. So I think more is better. The germ of this whole project is specifically talking about the random scenario generator. One of the things I've noticed with some of the guys that I play with locally and with a lot of the folks on the Combat Commander ladder that we have playing monthly tend to stick directly to playing the scenarios right out of the box, and they don't realize the rich possibilities that are available right there in the Combat Commander random scenario generator. And to kind of give it a little history on that, originally the game was so large when Chad released it that I think GMT said we need to split this into two pieces. So that's how Europe and Mediterranean kind of were split into the two releases. And at that time, in the original development, the story goes that the random scenario generator was the whole of the game. And I believe the publisher said, hey, you need to put some preset scenarios in there. And so I think they rolled them up, created a bunch of them, tailored them for balance, and then that's what you see in each of the releases of Europe and Mediterranean. You've got 24 preset scenarios. But what we are here to tonight for the next few videos, I think, with Bill and I, is we're going to delve more specifically into the random scenario generator. What I'd like to do is just kind of take a step-by-step approach. And if you are watching this and you're interested and you're unfamiliar with how the random scenario generator works, I'm just going to start saying RSG, I think. If you're curious how it works for Combat Commander, then watch this. Hopefully it will whet your appetite a little bit. But before we do all that, Bill, why don't you tell everybody in the home audience a little bit about yourself and your experience with gaming and Combat Commander and anything related to the random scenario generator.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been a gamer ever since my dad handed down my first copy, handed down the copy of Tactics 2 going way, way back in the day from Avalon Hill. I've always tried to keep something on the table and keep myself entertained and my friends and family. Specifically, as it applies to Combat Commander, it became one of my favorites pretty soon after it came out. One of the things I like about it so much, which it depends. I mean, I would think a lot of people who are going to be watching and be interested in following up on this would agree with my strongest is I like how you never really know exactly what's going to happen next. There's obviously tendencies and things you can plan for, but Combat Commander has a way of sneaking up and surprising you when you least expect it and are least prepared for it. It can be frustrating, but I much prefer this to other war games where it's simply, I go, you go, and the scripted odds, and there seems to be very little surprises. I think that what makes this game a gem in my mind, and then obviously by extension, the random scenario generator certainly gives you that unlimited capability to just keep playing and playing and playing and find even more surprises and depth in the game. I would definitely echo what Patrick said regarding a lot of people not usually playing it. I think partly it's because of the fact that there's so much good backstory and flavor written into the scenarios. It does an excellent job of the preset scenarios. It does an excellent job of really making you feel like you're in it and having sort of set the stage and getting into the game a little better. And I think that attracts a lot of people. And there's certainly plenty of replayability, even with those the preset scenarios, whether it's the original 24 or all the various ones that come with the battle packs. So I think because of that, I think a lot of people don't even stop to consider using the random scenario generator, but it's certainly something that's well worth taking a little bit of time and effort to walk your way through it. And I think you'll find that it's a very pleasant surprise and very effective.
I agree with everything that Bill just said there, 100%. Um, and I'm looking. I've got my copy of the Mediterranean playbook here, and that is what we're going to be doing tonight. So just to outset first the parameters of how we're doing this. Um, the in the original set there was a random scenario generator. However, when you bought Europe originally, you only had Germany as your Axis powers, and the United States and Britain. And anybody who owns the game, they're out there nodding along right now, and I have not told them anything that wasn't so that they don't know already. When you get Mediterranean, and I know Mediterranean has been hard to come by for the last few years, and I know it is on the P500 again. So for the people who have suffered mightily for not having it, it is hopefully this will kind of be sort of your bridge to it. That's when you got the British power. You got the Axis and Allied miners. So that fleshed out, I think, the whole vision that Chad had when he first built it. And they made a change, however, at the release of Mediterranean. They re-released the random scenario generator in the playbook, now with the full charting for all of the available powers. And they had, I believe, based on feedback and playtesting, they had made some tweaks to some of the charts and tables, along with how I think specifically artillery was handled between Europe and Mediterranean. So just to give you the framework of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using the Mediterranean playbook tonight as our random scenario generator. And what I want to do is we'll kind of do this in steps. We'll go through all this tonight, and I'm going to be looking at over here John Foley's designer notes along with it, and talking about the concept of combat school and why we use the random scenario generator. Primarily, there's really two reasons you can do it. You can use it just to kind of hone your skills if you want, and you can throw together a scenario if you're going to play solo, or if you just want to watch, or just kind of tweak out some things. Or, and they really delve into this, they have a whole section in the Mediterranean playbook about designing a scenario. So if you want to throw one together with a random scenario generator and then slap on a story, if you're trying to recreate a battle or an engagement, or you want to create something for a local tournament, there are all kinds of great notes in there for how to specifically address issues of balance, which always come up with Combat Commander, even with the ones right out of the box. So there's some great information there in the Mediterranean playbook, specifically about putting that professional sheen, if you want, on your creations, because it's partly random and it's partly a work of art because you're doing some research and things like that. So ultimately, my goal here is Bill and I are going to build a scenario from scratch tonight, and then we'll put a pin in it, and we will come back and we will play through that scenario and see how it turns out after we've played through it, and see if it passes muster. And then I'd like to go on and do the same thing with the Pacific random scenario generator. We'll put one together, a scenario for that, and then we'll play through that one and addressing things as they come up. And half the fun for me with sitting down with your buddy at the table is pulling out these charts with the RSG, and it is a meta game. And I've had some of my most fun times sitting there just laughing about, oh my gosh, can you believe this came up or that came up, and poring over the map and trying to figure out what is the best advantage to try to get. And what this is spotlighting is how balanced the entire mechanism is, because it is a zero-sum effort. Everything you do swings it from one side of the victory point chart to the other, and then back and forth until you get it right pretty close to the starting point for most of your scenarios. What do you say, Bill? You ready to do this?
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm gonna walk through the steps here. Actually, you know what? Before I even do that, they taught me this in farm economics. You never give away the farm right from the beginning of a horse trade. But I'm gonna give you a selling point right now. What you see here on the vassal setup that I've got is if you've got Combat Commander Europe set up, you know that you can go through and download all of the various and sundry extensions for all the battle packs. Well, somebody, and I presume it was probably Tim McCarran who put together some of these other ones, put together an RSG tool for you. And it has two purposes. One, it's got this leader role here, which we're going to be using here for a bit. But more than anything, to show you an example of it here, and again, we're giving away the whole trade secret. If you just want to sit down and throw together something without even thinking about it for yourself, perhaps, you can activate the RSG tool. And I'm just going to click the button here, and there you go. I click the button, and it puts all of the individual steps out there based on who clicked the button, and it says that I'm going to play the Axis and I'm going to use this specific map, and you go through, you just literally walk through all the pieces and parts, and of course there's still the point buy system, or the purchase of the orders of battle. But if you just wanted to not think about it and have this set up some basic framework for you, you could click the RSG button and go from it. Now, what we're going to do is obviously a little more detailed than that, because I want to have the experience with a human opponent of trying to figure out, oh, okay, Bill's picked this. What do I do? How do I offset that with fortifications, etc.? So yes, you could stop the video right here. Please don't. But you could stop the video right here. Go out and get the RSG tool for Vassal, and there's also some great ones available on the iOS store and on Android. I think the Android one is out, but I know I have it for my iPad from the iOS store that will just throw together one for you pretty quickly.
And just to cut in, I do have I have it on my iPhone as well.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, I believe that's how I originally had it, was on an iPhone, and then I said, oh well, it was made for iPhone, but it'll work on my iPad. So lo and behold, I have it on my iPad, which is great. So any thoughts before we get started, Bill?
Yes, try to win.
Yes.
That's my advice to anybody watching.
Always
do
win.
Your best to win.
That's right. Win the metagame. Always roll boxcars in Combat Commander if you can. All right. So I'm gonna literally start on step one of the RSG process here, and what it has us do for the battlefield for part one is, normally if Bill and I were sitting across the table from each other, one person would say, I'm gonna roll the dice, and then it would assign one person to pick a map, and then the other person would then get to choose which part of the map they want. But I'm going to do a slightly tweak on this. What I'm going to do is, here on the video side of things, Bill, you'll see this after the fact, is I've pulled up a random scenario or a random die roller, rather, and I've plugged in the numbers 1 to 73 for our map, because I want to keep it completely random. So I'm going to punch in and click this button, and it comes up with the number 60. So 60 is the number of the map. So I'm gonna start up here with a new game on the scenarios, and you may have to resync to this when I do it. And I believe I'm going to be an observer to start, and then I have to pick a board. I'm going to pick number 60, so we'll have a map to go with, and we'll click finish. So stepping through the process, the first thing we do here is we create our playing board, and I'm going to shrink this down a little bit to fit on the screen as it's recording. So here we go. And Bill, if you want to resync to me, I think you can see that now.
Okay.
And
alrighty.
It looks like a very lovely little village somewhere.
All right.
I have, quote, picked the map. So what I would like you to do, Bill, is to choose either one of those numbers for your side, and it looks like they're both to the left.
Yep. So I will be on the left.
Okay, you'll be on the left, and I will be on the right.
That's easy enough.
Side. Yes. All right. So we've got the VP track is currently set at 0, as we would expect. So we've done step 1. Hooray! Now, it would have you flip a coin for Axis or allies. I'm just going to say, we will.
Why don't you just do?
1 to 3.
One die, odd or even, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. See, that's why you are here, sir. So yes, on odd, I will play the Axis. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay. Here's the dry roll. Okay. So I am playing the allies, and you are playing the Axis.
Yep.
Okay. right? So now you'll find out if you're going to be playing Germany or Italy, and that will be a 2d6.
Okay. I will be playing Germany.
Germany, okay. And now you roll another 2d6 to find out what year it is. And it is going to be
Oh, not good news
1945.
for me. Not good
Wow.
news for me.
All right, so we're going to do the year up to 1945.
Hmm.
All right. And we've got the year marker set. So now I need to find out who I'm playing in 1945 against the Germans. So here is my 2d6. It's an 8, and it looks like I am playing Russia.
Okay.
Okay. And that has some possibilities, and we'll kind of divert off here. The next thing we're going to do is look at our troop quality. And the one addition that they made to the RSG is with the release of Resistance that they added some nuance to that. So if I got a line unit Russians after 1942, then I have the capability of using the Partisans faction. So we will see if that comes up here momentarily. But first, we will look at your troop qualities. We're on step 3.
Okay. And I am line. Just missed out on elite.
Just did. Okay. And let's see. My allied quality for the Russians in 1945, my 2d6 is a 7, so it looks like I also have line units. So this is where I could make the choice if I wanted to play the Partisans, and I kind of like the idea with this little village here of perhaps playing the Free French.
Or the Yugoslavs or the
Or the
Poles or
Yugoslavs or
whoever.
anybody, yeah. No, let's keep it Russians because the last video I did was with Partisans, and we'll keep it to the Russians. We'll keep it simple. So I will be Russians. Then I'm going to change my side to the Russians, and you can change yours to German
Okay.
and
No,
Soviets.
I'm actually not aware how to do that. So
It's the
I will
little
learn something new myself.
you go out the little door there next to the on the fourth
Ah,
button. Yes.
very good. Okay. And I will be the Germans. Very good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure. All right, so now we have to determine our objectives. We have a fresh, clean coffee cup that is our little stack there on the lower left-hand side. Why don't you do the honors for the open objective?
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Objective 3, so clearly my side of the board.
Okay. So I will now draw my specific one. Okay, got mine.
And I will draw mine.
All right.
Okay.
So now we have, let's see, order of battle is what we're going to figure out next. This is step 5. And this is where we will look at our specific charts. So I've got my Soviet order of battle here. And I'm going to pause this here while Bill and I kind of look this over. And what we're going to do is, I think, we'll both type our letter and our size in our text box, and then we'll simultaneously reveal it to show what we've picked. All right, we have both selected our particular column, taking into account the troop quality, of course, on the order of battle, and the time frame that we are looking at here. So I'm going to just double check that I've got the right one. You had a thought about this, Bill. What was your
Yeah. Well, I thought it would be useful to point out that certainly when you are setting up from a friend, an old friend or a new friend, obviously everybody's reasonably friendly when they're playing this game, is that you obviously, if you want to, you could sort of make gentlemen's agreements ahead of time. So, like, for example, if you wanted to have it just be like a quick little knife fight, you could just agree ahead of time that it could be a platoon against a platoon and see how that works. Or if you want to have this big, massive, grand battle, you can have company against company. But and the idea behind this is to have fun. So, and I know that was a big thing that Chad strongly supported. Is like, as long as you're having fun, it's good. It's good with him. He didn't want people to feel like they were, boxed in and you had to do things a particular way. Obviously, the rules are there, but then anything, his one of his famous mantras is, if it's not written, then you always go with what's written, and then other than that, have fun and enjoy yourself. So
Exactly. Exactly.
you don't have to stick to the script if you don't want to.
And that is quite prominently there in when John Foley is also talking about in the combat school was primarily if there's something that is not going to be fun to you, then go ahead. You can jump off the RSG here and hard code something. But more than anything, the combat commander motto, which we all say together, is go with the flow, right? Both Bill and I have picked, and we will. I'll count down on a on one. We will hit our enter button and say and show what we've got. So 3, 2, 1. There we go. So I have picked a detachment. He has also picked a detachment. So look at that. Mine is a 15 point. And how much is yours?
I believe mine is at 19.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first thing is the Axis player will move. So you would give me 19, and then I would give you 15 back. So it will be a 4 on my side. There we go. So currently, the victory point marker is sitting on my side, which makes me potentially the defender of this. So now we move to step 6, which is our leaders. And I have to look on the back of the book here. And I'm going to be rolling for each leader listed on my order of battle, which I believe for me, I get 2 leaders. And how many are you going to get?
Well, the number, let's see here.
Oh,
it's 2 leaders for me as well.
okay. For each leader, I'm going to throw a die, and I'm going to add or subtract any modifiers on that table, and then I will pick that leader. And then I will roll again, and if I get the same one, then I just keep rolling until I get a different leader. Roll mine first. So here we go. Here are my leaders. So here's number 1, and it's 1945, so I'm going to get a +1 to the roll. I think that is the only modifier because we are at line. Yes. So here's roll number 1, and I roll a 1, so I get a 2, which is Corporal Bulganin. Corporal Bulganin. And then the second one is becomes a 4, and that will be Sergeant Kovalev. So I get Bulgarin and Kovalev as my 2 leaders. So I will pull them, and I'm going to put them into the order of battle here just to kind of set things up. And you can go ahead and do yours.
Alrighty. So my first one is, well, I guess I get a 0 because my modifier is -1. So I will get Corporal Winkler, and looking for something a little better on this roll, and not getting it, Corporal Rettenhouse. And I will do likewise with adding it to the OB.
All right.
Bad news for me.
So now we move on to our support roles, and we do have to do this because the victory point marker is not at 0. So there is definitely, an attacker defender kind of thing at the moment. So now I'm going to go first since the victory point marker is on my side. I have to make a roll, and I must purchase 1 or more available units from the flip side of my order battle chart. And that is going to be the real interesting part of this because I must make a purchase. And I have a choice of either trying to bank points, I can go low and just kind of keep things on my side of the victory point marker, or I can try to get it right to 0 so that we will potentially have a double recon situation. Or I can go big and push it over to Bill's side of it, in which case he will then become momentarily the defender of this posture. So here is my roll. Let's see, it's 2d6. So I got a 5. I have a 5, and I'm in 1945, so I can either get Corporal Anishik for 2 victory points. I can get a weapon team with a light mortar for 2 victory points. Or I can get a rifle squad, which might be helpful. Those are my 3 options, and that is only 1 victory point. A rifle squad might be good because I have not put in all of my. Let's see, I'm going to get 10 SMG squads.
Well, something. Why don't we take them in?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll fill up our the actual
And
chart.
we will
So
know exactly what we've got.
cool. All right, so Bill and I have filled in our order of battle here based on the chart. I've also placed my surrender marker at 9, and you can move yours up to wherever it belongs based on that
Oh,
chart.
excellent point. My bad. It is a 7.
And let's.
Done. And the other thing to keep in mind too, just for everybody watching at home, is you don't have to just select just one. You can select multiple from the OB.
Yes, you can make multiple
I'm sorry, yeah.
purchases. Yes, of one or more of the same thing, which is exactly what I've got. I've got plans for here. So I'm going to utilize the opportunity to get something with a little more reach than submachine guns. So I'm going to buy 3 rifle squads at 1 victory point each, and that will bring it down to a 1 on my side, which means I'm going to stay as the defender, I believe. So I don't want to jump too far ahead. Um, Done that, and then and only then if it passed, which it did not. So normally this would be Bill's opportunity to make purchases as well, but I have deprived him of that capability. So moving on to step 8 now is the
Ooh,
posture.
again.
Boo! So I have the
Wrong.
higher VP account, which means I'm going to become the defender. So I'm going to change my OB to defender, and it is now on that matrix with line and 3 orders.
Yeah.
And Bill
And I
is
will join you.
attacker with line and 3 as well. Um, so we've done that, and now it's time for fortification. So me as the defender, I can spend up to X points here listed on fortifications, which are on the back of the book. And then I will subtract those VPs from my side, even though I'm now defender officially, and I will be giving those VPs over to Bill. So I'm going to look here on the back of the book and see if there's anything that I want to get. And I do kind of like 6 victory points for 10 mines, or I can get 9 wire for 3. Let me look at the map here real quick and see if there are good uses for either or. I tend to like wire just because, I know it works. It stops people. Whereas, you know, invariably I throw mines on people and I pass. But it's 2 chances on that. But I like the wire, so I'm going to take 9 wire for 3 victory points. So I'm going to give you 3 more victory points. And I'm going to add 9 wire to my order of battle. So we got my fortifications. So I'm going to go ahead and we are going to do, I guess, the full setup here because I want to go through this whole RS process. So now I can set up within 12 hexes deep from my side because we're using the narrow alignment here. So I can go all the way from O all the way down to, it looks like, I believe D is as far forward as I could set up.
Yep.
All right, so I have placed all of mine, and you can see there that I've gone with an adorable frontal defense there with the wires, and we got the creek running through. So there's going to be some bridge crossing and just all kinds of wacky antics for the Germans coming in. And we now switch over to his setup, and he gets a chance at off-board artillery. So why don't you take it from here?
Which I am absolutely going to make my attempt to make myself available of. I took a look at my German support table, and the odds are reasonably with me that I'll get something. At least it's certainly worth the attempt, because the all-important 7 will get me the very big boom boom. So I'll need to do something to chew up the wires and the people behind them. So let's see what the dice says. A 6, which means I will get nothing and like it. So much for that. No radio. Yeah, that number 1 certainly did not help me. I missed by 1. Had I rolled a 7, actually by rolling a 6. I missed out on 150. definitely would have ruined Patrick's day.
That would have had some scattering effect, I believe.
Yes, because for this, I'm not saying anything that's not. I'm sure a lot of the old hands uh, will know this, but something that I actually just happened to me on the positive side very recently is always keep in mind that when you do have artillery and you hit a fortification, uh, it has the potential to blow it up. And had another plus was that if I had gotten the 150, it's a 12 strength artillery. So if I hit a fortification with an artillery strike with a 12 firepower radio, it would blow up a fortification on a roll of an 8, which obviously I would have been more than happy to do it uh, early and often.
That's
Try
right.
and soften up the front line.
I would be hoarding the artillery denied cards quickly.
But all of that is theoretical because I didn't get it. I think at this point, Patrick will probably put it on hold while I deploy my troops.
I shall, as if by magic, go and poof, as we said, like magic. There is your German detachment. Now, for purposes of keeping this straight and honest, I realized that during the break here, I screwed up, of course, because it's me. And I placed my fortifications when it explicitly said, don't place your fortifications yet, defender. But then Bill said, you know what, it would not have mattered. So it did not seem to influence his setup. So I will keep it where they are. But yes, normally you do the fortification after the attacker sets up, just for that last little bit of sneakiness, I guess, for the defender, which seems like an inherent advantage, I guess, once you see where everybody is for the German setup. That now I'm just going to pack all the wire on one side, I guess, right? Okay, so now we make sure that all the markers are set up. We've got our current time track is set at 0. The sudden death is now determined by taking the number of Axis orders and we add it to the number of my allied orders, and that's going to give us 6. So our sudden death marker is going to be down here at 6, right?
Yep.
Surrender markers have been placed. Any mines would be placed for those fortifications. And we don't have any. We got a fresh coffee cup, i.e., for our smoke and blaze chits, and then we would draw our cards. So we will. The initiative on mine is for my detachment is 10. What is yours?
For mine, it is 11.
Okay, so the Germans will start with the initiative card. So we pass that to the Axis player. And then
they will need it.
We shall see. So I think what we'll do is we'll rather than draw our cards now, I'm gonna call this here, and I'm gonna save this. We can both save it on each side, and then
Okay.
we'll have some time to look it over, and then we will come back and as if we had finished, setting up for the scenario, we will draw our cards prior to us playing through this, and then we will do this another time as a separate video, and that way we can get this out and people can kind of see it and sort of whet their appetites a little bit. What do you say?
That works for me.
Okay, great. So you are going to be the attacker, so you will get 6 cards, and then I will get 4. So that will definitely be a consideration for me, as always, for a defender. I love playing defender, but it is kind of hard dealing with 4 cards all the time. It's hard to be sneaky with only 4 things, you know. Thank you to everyone for watching this. Please take a moment to click that little subscribe button if you've not yet subscribed to the channel. Give us a little thumb if you enjoy this, and if you're excited about seeing who is going to win this engagement. And of course, make your comments down below here, and we will look them over and take them into consideration before we start. And Bill and I will set up a time. It'll probably be next week, I think, when our schedules are clear, and we will play through this one and see how it comes out. Bill, do you have any thoughts before we close it out for tonight?
No, not really. I mean, it was actually kind of fun. It's been a very, very long time since I've done the random scenario generator on Vassal, so this was actually kind of nice. Just sort of instead of fumbling around trying to find the buttons, even though I'm pretty familiar with the Vassal module here, it was nice having someone who has done it take the steps and go through it. But it's should be an interesting game. At this stage, I'm kind of wishing I'd picked a company, but that's fine.
That's right. Yes. Now more than ever, we see that that gentleman's agreement that you were talking about. Yeah, we're both going to do companies. Wink. Um, but this was definitely a pleasure, and we hope you enjoy it. And I am very excited for playing through it. So until next time, Bill, take care, and everyone, we will see you then.